Please, Joshua, we can't hear anything.
Yes, is my screen visible on your side?
Yes, very, very clear.
Yeah, yes, it is.
All right. So I believe we've gone through all of these string booleans, operators, and today we're basically looking at the conditionals. So we are particularly going to focus on the if statements. So Python basically it supports a number of conditional statements, and so we basically looked at the operators in the previous sessions, and these are these guys here that we see. So in today's session, we are looking at if statement, the event that you maybe want specific things to show on your front end. So we've looked at declaring variables, and in this example we see here, we have two variables. Integer one shows a variable one has an integer of 33, then B has 200. So in the event that we want to print a number that is bigger than the other, we are going to use conditional statements. So let's just go ahead and yes, so today I'm going to use the W3 Schools compiler, and so now in this case we want to find out if B is greater than A, then we print well, B is greater than A. But now in this case, you see if we wanted to specify what the print would say in the event that you're looking for a number that is greater than A, you would specify it either by printing, we've looked at the print before, you can just either print you print the variable and yeah, so we would have it something like this, and it would run like this. This would be the result. So our new print statement is going to print the greater value, which is 200 in this case, is less than our variable A, which is 33. So I hope we are clear on this.
Hello.
Yes, Flavia.
For me, I've gotten an error.
Okay, where are you getting an error?
I did A is equal to 33, then B is equal to 200.
Okay, maybe there's one other issue I would like to point out. Again, in Python is about indenting. So if you have a print that doesn't have a space, it's going to print an error. It's going to give you an error. So make sure that you have an indent after the if. Yes, are you sorted, Flavia? Or is there anyone else who has? Yes, Brian, I see you have a question.
I'm not.
Thank you. I request for us to utilize the time very well. Maybe those that are coding have some error, they can utilize the chat. Maybe responses will come out instantly.
Yes.
So that the presenter keeps in sync with whatever is presenting.
So members can take.
Thank you.
You can take those screenshots and drop them in the WhatsApp group. I'm active there. I'll be responding.
All right, that's great. Thank you, Brian. All right, so yes, yeah, indentation. If you have a space if you don't have a space after the print, before the print, it's going to throw you an error. Yes, so we now look at the else if. So in the event that we have these two numbers that are the same, so if B is greater than A, well, no number is greater than the other here, but I would like to see, I'd like to show how this would look like. Are you guys seeing my compiler, by the way?
Yeah, we can see it. I can see it.
Yeah, we can see it.
Right. So as you can see, we don't have a print here because the print is in, but it doesn't have a condition that meets the condition we're trying to do. So then we get into that else if. So now else if this you do if in the event that the first condition is not met, then you go to the second condition. So now else if A is equal to B, then print I and B are equal. So if we get this line and add it, our compiler here, so we are going to get that A is equal to, rather the A and B are equal because it meets the condition that we're trying to set here. So now we can add as many else ifs as we, as maybe the thing that we're trying to build requires. So now we have another example that has a bit more else ifs. And okay, this example has an else and an else if. So now let's go to, yes. So our variable A and B, now we have a 233. So if B is greater than A, then print B is greater than A, but this is now going to be a false, or rather this won't print because B is not greater than A. So now else if A is B, then all of this are equal. So also this condition is not met, we go to the third condition. So the third condition is print A is greater than B, because that's the last condition that we are setting, and it really works with the variables that we have. Let's add this. So yes, like I was saying, let me just maybe pass comment out this. Yeah. So as you can see, if B is greater than A, there's not going to be a print because that's a false. If we also check this condition, should also print a blank page. Exactly like we expected. And then this condition that is being met should print says A is greater than B. Yeah. So we can continue. Now, in this example that we see here, the first condition is not true because B is not greater than A. The else condition in this case, B is also not greater than A. So what this is doing is checking if B is greater than A, and if it is a false, condition, it's going to go to the next to see if it meets the criteria that is being looked for. So now in this case, it's going to print else because all the conditions that it was looking for are not met, and it is going to be the last. Else is usually the last iteration that the condition goes to if all the conditions that you're trying to look for are not met. Yes. So then we go to, there's something we call a shorthand if, and if basically you have like one statement to execute, you can put it on the same line. You don't have to write all these are like 4 lines, yet they could be written in 1 line. So now in this event, is shorthand if we write them like this, and it is defined by this. This is a very first statement, and then this is the second statement. So now if A, so in this event, you'd have maybe created the variables already. So if A is greater than B, then print A is greater than B. So we can just have a test to see how the shorthand it works. So these dots you see here, I don't know if they were touched earlier, but this just basically means then. So if A is greater than B, then print whatever. So we can just return here. So yeah, as you can see, the compiler is giving us the print that we want. So now we have a shorthand if, and then have a shorthand else if. And now, in the event that A is greater than B, we are going to print A, else we print B. So now if A in our example here is not greater than B, let's just also have a look and see what this should print. So now in our example here, we print A if A is greater than B. So now in this example here, we are not going to print A because A is not greater than B. So you're going to go to the else. This condition is not met. So now we go to the else. So now the else is going to print B, which is 330. So our print should be giving us a B. So you specify the B. Now, so yes, and again, you can have multiple else statements, exactly like we saw earlier. Yeah, exactly like we saw earlier. And you can have as many else statements as you want, as long as you meet all the conditions that you want to have. So now in our example here, we have all variables the same with the same digits. So now this literally says print A if A is greater than B. So now A is not greater than B, so this is not going to be printed. So now we go to the next iteration of the condition. So else print equals. So what this means is A, this first condition is not met. So the next condition, the next iteration of the condition is going to be printing this. So this is not met, else we are going to print the equal sign. So in our example here, this line is going to print at this point in the code, it's going to print equals. But now we have another condition in within that says if A is equal to B, yes, else print this if A is equal to B, and else you print B. So what this is going to do is going to, our first condition is not met. Our second condition is met. So we are going to print this in the event that A is equal to B. So A is equal to B. Our print is going to do this. So this meets this meets the criteria of the condition. And then if you find that A is not equal to B, you print B. So in this case, our print is going to give an equal sign. So we can just check it out here. As you can see, we have printed the equal sign because it's the only criteria that is met. And still continue. So we can add an AND operator within our logic to just have many different conditions. So for example, here we have now introduced a third variable that has a higher number than A or B. So now in this example, we see that if A is greater than B and C is less than A. So now let's look at our variables. So A is greater than B. That is this condition is met. Now, this is not the only condition that is being specified. And then it says, and C. So this is if A is greater than B and C is greater than A. So all of these condition is met. We are going to print both conditions are true. So we can test it here. So it's going to give both conditions are true. But now, in the event that we say C is say 5, so C A is greater than B, this condition is met. B and C is greater than A. So C is not greater than A. And so basically this whole condition is not met. So our print should be blank here if we run this. Yeah, so it's going to run blank. It should be blank. So now we can introduce in our if conditions, we can introduce the and, we can introduce the or, and now let's try the or. So now let's look at our code, our condition here. So our condition says if A is greater than B, A in this case is greater than B, that's good. Or A is greater than C. Now, A, which is 200, is greater than B. So this is correct. Or, now, this is correct. So the or says if either of the two conditions is correct, then it shall print. So now we see that A is not greater than C. So now here, our condition, because one of them is correct, but rather one of the if conditions is, meets the criteria we're trying to achieve, just that the other doesn't. So so if either of the condition is met, then it's going to go ahead and print. And also test this. So attention of the condition is true. That is correct because one of them is correct, so it's going to print. Now, in the event that maybe we say if A is less than B, so let's change this to less than, and we see what will be printed. So if A is less than B, A is not less than B, A is greater than C, A is not greater than C. So none of this condition is true. So we should not get this print. If we run this, yeah, if we run this, we're going to get a blank because none of the conditions we are trying to meet meets our criteria. So then there is the note. So A is equal to 33, B is equal to 200. Now, if yes, so if A is not greater than B, we're going to print A is not greater than B. So what the note does in this case is it works with a very fast variable. So if you put if the note is just next to a variable, it is what go ahead and check. So in this case, this condition says if A is not greater than B, then print something. So we can test this as well. But now, if we say if B is not greater than A, so B is greater than A. Now we are saying if B is not greater than A, print something. So this should print a blank because B is greater than. Yeah, just like that. So now we go to something called a nested if. This is if you want to check a condition. This is if you want to check a condition within a condition. So let's say now in this output, in this example that we have here, we have x as our variable, which is 41. Now it says if x is greater than 10. Now our x is greater than 10. We print above 10. But if x is greater than 20, so this is also still true, print and also above 20. So this condition, x is greater than 10, also x is greater than 20, else print but not above 20. So now what our example is going to print here is x is greater than 10, so this passes, so it's going to print above 10. Now in the next line we have if x is greater than 20, this is also going to pass. Now else that means if all of these conditions are not met, then print not above 20. So in this case, you're going to have these two prints reflect. You can have a test of the example and see. So yes, as you can see, the very first two conditions that were met have been printed. So no need to go to the else because the very first two were met. So in the event that maybe we change something here, we say maybe if x is less than 10, so x is not less than 10, so this is not going to be met. X is less than 20, so this condition is also not going to be met. Then our print that is not above 20 is going to print. So if we run this should be what prints. Oh yeah. So here I see the issue here. So if we have our x which is greater, which is less than 10, which it doesn't meet the criteria, then x less than 20, it doesn't meet the criteria. So now there is none of the conditions we have here meet the criteria we are trying to get. But now our else doesn't have it doesn't have a meaning. Like it has nothing to, it has no condition we're trying to else it against. So it doesn't print also because it doesn't know what it should print. I don't know if I'm making sense there. I don't know if I'm still with people. All right, and like we are all on the same page, which is good. Okay, so now we have the past.
A question.
Yes, Joel.
Then what is the use if we left out the else? Will it make any effect if we don't write the command else print, but not above 20?
Okay, so if we leave it out, it doesn't really make any difference because none of the conditions we're trying to meet is true, and this else doesn't have it doesn't have the condition we should else it against. So for example, if all of these are valid, if these don't meet the criteria, then the else also doesn't meet the criteria. So it doesn't need to be there either way. You can remove it and the code should run the same.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So we get to the past statements. So if statements cannot be empty, but if you for some reason have an if statement with no content, then put in the past statement to avoid getting an error. So in this event, this is exactly what I was saying earlier. So let's just test this. So in our example here, we are seeing so A is 33, B is 200 in this case, and so if B is greater than A, that is true, then you pass. So what this is going to do is instead of if you don't want to write something here, maybe a print, maybe call a certain function to do something, then you can just pass it. So what this is going to do is also print nothing, really. So as you can see, we have nothing in our terminal here. Yes, so this would be the end of our session on conditional statements that have to do with if, that can be bundled together with a lot of other condition, other operators has to do with the and, the or, the not, and then we have also covered some nested conditions. Do we have some questions that maybe we can look at before we move on to the next phase?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, that's right.
When we started, the very first condition, I think you probably started at high speed, probably for me. So I didn't really that if something like that. The first like two conditions, I didn't really. I started to click
Is it
a bit
this?
later. Then yeah, I think the next one. This L if this one, yeah.
Okay,
Could you
so
just go through it again?
let us go through this part of the else if. So where you see L if, it's a short form for else if. So in short, if we say if B is greater than A, B is not greater than A because they are equal. So this statement, we shall skip it because it doesn't meet the criteria we are to look for. So in this event, now we go to the else, to what is the next condition that we're trying to check. And else if basically gives us that it gives us that in the event the very first condition is not true, then check the next condition. So else if is saying if the first statement is not correct or it doesn't meet the criteria, then what else do we have in the loop that tries to match our criteria? So now that's why the else if is there. So now in this event, the else if checks this condition, which is A is equal to B. So I don't know if we are on the same page here.
Sure, sure. I think I've gotten an answer.
All right, so we can just
Can I ask a question?
yes, Innocent, please go ahead.
Can the else if B, let me say else if B is maybe less than A, print that? Or it has
So
to
you
be
want
those double signs?
it doesn't
Can
really
we
have
have?
to be. We can actually check that's the condition you're saying. So you want to check else if A is
Less than B. What will happen?
All right. So in this event, what do you think is going to be the print here?
There will be nothing.
Yeah. So if we check this, we should not have anything output because none of the conditions we have set meets the criteria we are looking for. So,
Oh, all right. Thank you.
yeah.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Now, that very where you've been, the if, can I, instead of putting else if, can I just put another if, like there? Instead of,
Yes.
can I just put if minus a el, then
Yes.
continue,
So
like that?
yes. Yeah. So
Mm,
what happens here is
mm,
it's going to check this, and then it's going to check this also. But again, none of these meet the criteria, so it's going to not print anything.
Then again, I've also seen you indented. And then on elif, you had not indented. Would it be also a command also? Like indenting if you've indented on your
So
first if.
now else if is a different condition. So these are within the same. So if you're nesting ifs, you indent them. Like for example, now if you want to add another if here, the other if would go somewhere like here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Sir, just one last thing. One more
Yes.
thing, sorry. That at the past statements,
Yes.
what exactly does this condition do? Because when you run it, you get a blank.
Okay,
What do we
so
pass to, or?
So a pass, if you see like a statement cannot be empty. Like for example, if B is, let's say if B is less than A, then you'd have to put some condition in there. You get?
Okay,
so in the event that you don't want to, if you don't want to put something here, then you just pass it. So what it will do is okay, so I see my volume is low, but I hope we are still catching up.
I think it could be his device. On my end, you're clear. I don't know for the others.
I can hear you
It could be
clearly as
his
well.
phone there. All right,
It's
so
okay.
let's try. Let's do that example thing. So so here we are saying that if B is greater than A. All right, thank you. So if B is greater than A, then pass. So what we are saying here is let me just do another if. So now if B, let's say if B is less than A, then print print hello world. So now what this says is it's going to basically pass this statement and just go to the next statement. So like you saw in our the statement here, it says the statements cannot be empty, but if for some reason, I don't know, whatever reason, you want to have a condition that has nothing in your code, that's called redundancy writing. But in the event that for some reason that you want it there, then you just throw a pass. So now in this example, we see that if B is greater than 8, then pass. So it's going to pass this. It's not going to consider this condition. It will just go jump into the next. So this is going to lead to print hello world.
You didn't indent the print, I think.
Will the second statement be else if?
Okay, either way, it should pass this to the next. So even though I have an if here, it's going to still throw an error. It is.
But I think if B is greater than A. Could it be the reason as to why it is not?
It will not. Interesting. So our error says inconsistent use of tabs and spaces. So our indentation is the one that is wrong. I'm trying to figure out why it is. It should be right.
I think for indentation, I read this space is supposed to be four spaces or a tab or a tab. Then
They're supposed to be 2 spaces.
for this print. Why?
1, 2, 2, 3, 4. B. So our B is not less than A. So none of our criteria we're trying to meet are met. So it's going to print a blank space. So I hope I have answered your question. I see Josh has answered the question. He has pasted the correct version. as well in the chat. So if you have a question, you can check it out. And then I have a question. There's an exercise here that we have. We can just go through this as well. So we have an x, which is 5. We have y, which is 8. So now here we say we are trying to test if x is greater than y. So in our event, it's not greater than y, so it's not going to print hello. So the next thing that is there. So in our code here, what's going to be printed is welcome. So we can just test it here. See? So yeah, welcome would be the answer to that that ends conditional statements of else, of if and else. Yes.
Kindly go back to the exercise, please, shortly.
Right? What is not clear here?
Sure, no, can move.
Yes. Are we good? Should we continue?
Sure.
All right. So we are going into something called the match statement. This is so instead of writing many if else statements like we've seen earlier, you can just use the match statement, which with the match expression, the case and what should be done, the case and what should be done. So what happened, we can just continue and we just go ahead and look at it. So this is how it works. The match expression is evaluated once. This expression that we have here is evaluated once. The value of the expression is compared with the values for the cases. So you put an expression, you check it, you check it. So if there is a match, the associated block of code is executed. So if case 1 is correct, this code is going to be executed. If case Y and case Z are not correct, these won't be executed. So we can go ahead and have an example. So for example, we have a bit of code here. We say that day is equal to 4. Now, these work as our if statements in this case, but instead of ifs, we write cases. So now our case 1 is we print Monday if the variable that we have here is is 4. But now in our case, which is 1, we don't have it doesn't match the criteria we are looking for. So it's going to go iterating through the cases until it finds the case it's looking for and it prints that. So in this case that we have here, we're going to print Thursday as our print out because it matches with the variable that we set earlier. So if we run this, we're going to get Thursday as the answer to this print, as you can see here. So I hope we are still together. I'm not losing someone on the case. So this helps in the event that you have a lot of case of ifs to write, but you want to do it in a different way than doing the else, the if and the else if and the ifs. So instead of nesting the ifs, as you can see, you can go wrong with indenting. So this comes in to help you in the event that you are indenting, having challenges with indenting, then this match case would work for you. Now we have something called the default value. So you can underscore the character as the last case value if you want to code block to execute when there are no other matches. So this is like our else if. So let's just look at this example. So in our example, we have case 6, we have case 7, but none of these cases meet our criteria, which is 4. So this case that we have where we put an underscore, it's our way of saying if all of these cases don't match whatever we are trying to look for, then go ahead and print this, the last thing. So if you run this, our answer should be this. It should be looking forward to the weekend because our case 6 and 4. So now if we say we put our case 4 here, if we run this again, we shouldn't get the looking forward to the weekend. We should be getting today is Sunday. If we run this, today is Sunday is what we should see in our terminal here. All right, let's go ahead. Now,
Sir, could you kindly slow down a bit?
Yes.
Could you kindly
Am I being
slow
too
down
fast?
a bit? Yeah, sure. Maybe you
All
just
right,
repeat
I
the
hope.
default value for me.
Okay, so the default value, what the default value is in this event is like our else if that we looked at here. So it is like our else that we have here. So in the event, all of these cases are not don't meet what we are trying to look for, then you print this. So our match here does the same thing in the default value. So the default value is what you put if all the cases have not been matched. So now in our example that we saw here, we are, as you see, let's make this a case 5. So case 6 says, if it is case 6, we say we print today is Saturday. If it is case 5, we print today is Sunday, but none of our cases here match the criteria that we have here. So it's going to default to this. Are we still together?
Yes, we are. Just
Sure.
out of curiosity, does this case thing work for example, if we have a string instead of an integer?
If you have a string
Instead of an integer,
yes.
For example.
So now if you have a string here, so for example, the day is Monday. So now the cases we are testing for would be case is Tuesday. So now the case becomes Sunday. So now, as you can see, we are trying to match what is in this. what is this variable, and our case that is Tuesday doesn't match what is in our variable. So now this is going to default to the default value. So if we print this, we should be getting
So while you are at it, I don't think you had finished explaining to the point of the underscore. I think you
yes. So
just
the
had a
underscore
question
is the default value is how we say, how we have looked at the else if earlier. So if in the event of all of these cases are not matched, yes.
Yes, I got you.
Yes. So if in the event none of this is matched, then it's going to default to this. I don't know if we are still having a challenge there.
No, I got you there.
Okay. Okay. So we run this should run. Yeah. So as you can see, maybe the other thing I should note that was noted already in the previous classes, if it is a string, you put it in brackets. All right. So now our variable doesn't match any of the criteria we are looking for. So it's going to default to the case to the default value, which in this case is looking forward to the weekend. So now in the event Monday, so our case in this case meets the criteria here in our variable. So if we print this, it's going to print today is Sunday. Yeah, today is Sunday. So I hope we are conversant with the default value and the match and case scenario with writing condition statements. Are we still together here?
Yep.
We are.
Great. Okay, so now we are now on to combining values. So there is this character we should just find above the enter key, and this is called a pipe character, and it's used to combine values, especially if you're using the match case. So in this example, we are matching cases all in one line. We can just have a test of it and see how. So now our variable says it is 4, and case 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. Now in these cases, we print today is a weekday. Now if it's case 7 or case 7, you say I love weekends. So in this example we have here, what is going to be printed is this, because our 4 happens to lie in one of the combined cases, which is the very first one here. So if we print this, rather if we run this, this is what is going to be printed. Today is a weekend. Run it and see. So yes, today is a weekend. So as you can see, this becomes a much cleaner way to write then the ifs, especially if you have them nested. And yeah, so we have a bit of 6 slides to write what would be a very big number of lines. So I hope we are here. I hope we are still together with the combined values.
Hello. Yeah. Why are you separating them like that? Can't you use commas in between the figures?
So we can't use commas. We shall get an error because we are now, if we are to combine, if we put a comma, we are doing something else. So which you can just give it a try right now. You throw a comma that you are saying.
That's a list.
Let's throw commas where she's saying it, and we run the same thing. So as you can see, it has nothing, it prints black because we are not combining the figures, so it's becoming something else if we put commas, which we shall look at sometime later. Combine very many cases into one case. We do that by using a 5-character, which is this guy just above the enter key. So I hope we are okay with this part. So before we move on to the next adding guards, can we verify we have understood what these 5 characters do?
Could you kindly just explain again? Just an overview.
Okay, let me say, let me let me just copy our previous example and I show you what I'm trying to get at here. So this is ideally how you'd have your cases written. Case 1, case 2, case 3, case 4. So now in the event that you want to combine, say, all of these cases into one case, so what you would do is get all of these cases and put them here. So what happens now here is we add a line, which is a pipe character, and then you put our case 2. So now our case 2 no longer needs to appear here. We write our case 3. So now our case 3 no longer needs to appear here. We write our case 4. Now our case 4 no longer needs to appear here. So am I making myself clear here? So now this means that case 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are all tested in the same line. And if one of them matches the variable we are looking for, then it's going to print a specified print that you have selected. So now in this case, we are going to see, we can even have a default value here as Sunday. So now we see that our variable, which is 4, meets the case which is here. So it's going to print Monday. But now, in the event that our case is not there, let's see. This and we run. So this is going to, so our cases, all of them are not met. Our case 5 is also not met. I cannot even just have this. Yeah. Our case 6 is also not met. So it's going to go to the default value. So our print should run Sunday as our print in the terminal. So yes, here we have Sunday. And I hope we are together.
Yeah, sure.
Great. So first the combined values, we have combined values with, you can add if statements in the case evaluation as an extra conditional check. So for example, let's just go with our example here and test it so we can have a feel of what I'm trying to say. So we have month, which is 5. We have day, which is 4. Now we are matching the day. So in case 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we are checking to see if we meet any of our cases, and if month is 4, then print a weekday in April. And this is our case. This is our first case. But now we have another second case, which so only our. So in this case, one criteria is met, but the other condition which specifies the condition, if this case should print, doesn't meet the criteria, the variable month, which is 5. So now it's going to skip this case and go to this case now. So now in this case, we see that we meet the day. We meet our variable day, which is 4. So this is okay. Now we also need to check for this. So if month is 5, then we print a weekday in May. So now our month is 5. So all of these two are met. So it's going to print a weekday in May. Else print a default value. So now our print should be a weekday in May. Yeah, a weekday in May. Are we all together on this combined cases with an if? All right, I'll take that as yes, we are together. So we have an exercise we can go through here. Which character can be used as a default case value in a match statement? So I believe we all know what the answer is here.
Minus.
Yeah, that is correct. That is our correct answer. Now, I see we have very few minutes left in the class, so I am going to take questions from here as we prepare ourselves for the while loops for the next class. So I'm open to questions. If you haven't understood something, if you need something to be repeated or we go through again,
Yes.
this is the time for that.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes,
where the if statements as guards, the one that you've just completed, I'm kindly requesting if you can repeat for me. You see where there is month, why do we put two equal signs? And when we put one equal sign, it gives an error.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to operators. If we see in our operators, if you remember in our operators class, there's an operator of double equals, which translates to equal. So if you want to equate something, if you want to say A, like for example, if A is equal to B, if you say A is equal to assigning, let me just have a demo here. Let's say we have our variable A, which is number 4. We have our variable B, which is number 5. So now if I say A is, let me just say B is equal to A. Equal to A. So what I mean here, if I print B, if I print B, so if I print B, what do you think the answer is here?
Six. B.
Yes? It is 4. That is great. So our equal sign is used to assign. So if I now say maybe give it a print and say if B is A, and we run into our indenting. So what do you think our print is now going to be?
To be 6.
Okay, so we are now checking that if B is equal to A. Now B is not equal to A. You get? But now when we assign B, we equated it to A. So now if I say B is equal to A, so we are going to print B. Now our answer here is going to be, what's going to be our answer?
Oh,
4.
You're sure? Let's run it.
oh.
That is indenting also.
B is A. It is A.
So our answer is 4. We ever had 4? Congratulations. You have understood what it is to write operators.
Thank
So I hope
you.
we are still together.
Yeah.
Great. Yes. Any more questions? So I hope, Flavia, you've understood why we put double equals instead of one equals. Yes?
Yeah.
Great.
On the
Yes,
same
I think.
example,
Mm,
if we change where month is today, say in case
if,
1, if we change month to day,
If we change this math today,
Yes.
okay, we can just go ahead and try it. So now, if we put this here, we put this here. Now, my question becomes, what do you think is going to be the output here before we run this?
A weekday in April.
Yes?
A weekday in April.
Yeah, weekday in April.
Right. That's right. We can see. So, congratulations.
Yeah, okay.
You guys have understood what we are doing here. And I believe if there are no more questions, Josh, I hand over back to you to finish the class.
All
Thank
right. Thank you, Engineer Ernest, for the insight and that beautiful tutorial. And I believe the members, as we have been seeing, the members have really understood what conditionals are all about. So I noticed, of course, that Ernest went very, very deep, and we're not able to cover the loops as we had anticipated today. But in the next tutorial, we shall cover the loops there. Then yes, Dudu Kenneth, you are raising a hand.
Good evening, doctor. I joined a bit late, here I didn't have power and I'm on wireless, so I didn't have power. I've attended your lectures from the day we started this thing. But there's that part when we are starting something, like what a person who is learning Python can do in a specific field. I would wish you at least once in a while you enlighten us, because most of us here, we are not in the same field. Some people are in accounting, some people are in medical, some people are in, I don't know, teaching, some people are in other professionals.
Okay.
So
you.
yes, that's what I wanted I just wanted to pass through to give out at least once in a while. This thing can motivate people to learn, because today I looked at our number. We started when we were around 70 or 8, even 100. I think we were even 100.
Yeah. So if when we are starting, I really tried to enlighten people on the different use cases of Python. And this was a Python, as we started, I kept reiterating that this is a Python data science machine learning bootcamp. But I explicitly mentioned that Python is not limited to data science and AI. And even today's daily development tip, I keep sharing these tips every day, some to motivate you to keep going, and some to show you how Python works. Today's developer tip was all about the use cases of Python, where you can apply Python. So in this tutorial specifically, we shall cover Python, and then we shall go to the data science use case of Python. We are not covering web development using Python. We are not going to cover building APIs and back-end systems and all that. This is specifically for data science. If you need web development, trying to build back-end systems and all that, we can see how we can arrange that. But this tutorial is specifically for data science. I don't know if I really do answer the question, and I try to make sure that whenever now, like the last lesson, we're trying to show you how to integrate some of these small tips. In the next class, I'll show you a large language model that I've been working on offline. So it works like a chat GPT. So you see how to motivate you to see how to get there, but it really takes work. It takes work. We can't really force people to stay and learn. All we can do is motivate you and show you that actually you can do a lot with these things. Most people, when they saw AI, machine learning and AI, they enrolled specifically for that. And they thought it's a very easy journey. Actually, learning Python is the easiest part of it. And when the more we advance, things keep getting a little bit complex. So I just need our heads to stay in the game. Yeah, I don't want to lose you at any moment, because my goal is to, even if I could capture like 10 people from this bootcamp, 10 very committed individuals, we can really work on great things. So let us keep our heads in the game. Some of these things, when you're studying, they might look like they're not making sense, but that's part of learning programming. Yeah, it looks like it doesn't make sense until we start building systems with them. So today we have seen if statements. Next time we shall see loops, and then we shall build a small project to see how loops and those if statements can be incorporated into a small project. Yeah. So here we are still trying to scratch the surface, but I just want you to stay with me. Just keep showing up, keep practicing what we study. At the end of it all, it will make sense. But Python in itself, it has very many use cases, So I'll refer you to today's daily developer tip that I've pasted in the group, and you can try to research more and see what the power behind Python. Thank you very much.